Hello viewers, and welcome to my very first official YouTube video. My name is Jake, and this YouTube channel will be dedicated towards sim racing. I have bought this racing simulator setup that I am currently sitting in about roughly 5 months ago, since I started sim racing, and I have fallen in love with it ever since. I have always been a huge fan of just sports cars, supercars, and motorsport ever since I was a kid. And this is just the perfect outlet for me to be able to experience those cars, since, you know, it would just be an absolute pipe dream to race GT3, Le Mans hypercars, or even Mazda MX-5. It really wouldn't matter for me. So it's a relatively new hobby, and I thought, you know, I spend a lot of time in this rig in my free time. Why not throw a camera and get a mic and share my experience to the world, and hopefully I get to meet a lot of other unique individuals who have a similar interest in sim racing as I do, and motorsport in general. I just want to have a good time. That's really all I want to do. But I won't ramble on for my first video. I just simply wanted to give a brief introduction to myself, what this channel is going to be. Hope you enjoy the video, and if you get a lot of satisfaction out of it, please do like and subscribe. Alrighty guys, let's get into it. So this is my first qualifying lap. Didn't turn out the way as I intended, as you will see as I go into turn 1. I'm going to get a track limits, unfortunately.
Time 2:21.3.
But you know, it is what it is. We're just going to slow down and make sure we don't completely invalidate the lap. That way we get something posted. So I'm just gonna reset, refocus, going into Eau Rouge here. We're gonna try to do it flat out. I'm pretty sure I had to do a slight lift, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I did. Didn't quite get the best entry, but you know, we gotta make do with what we have and what we've done. So that's just racing. Going down the back straight, and we're going to brake roughly at the 100-meter mark, and then make sure we're pitching it in a little bit earlier, and then not going too wide into the second turn, so that way we can get a good exit turn. Get wide, back on the throttle without spinning out, braking right at about the curb. Let it run out a little bit. It's like a double apex. I didn't really nail it there. And then braking again right about that light. Coming out nice and wide. And here we go into this wide sweeping corner. So braking just roughly before the board, get down to third gear, and then we're swinging it out wide, getting back on the throttle as soon as we can to maximize the amount of speed. Braking right at about the curb and the massive sign above there. Pitch it in, down to the second gear, and making sure we're hitting both those apexes. Coming in, brake again at the curb, down to second gear. I'm not sure why it went down to first. That was quite a little bit of a fatal error on my part. In this corner, it's a challenging one. You can do it flat out if you get it just right, but I really struggle to nail that. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are much more seasoned veterans that get it quite consistently. But go nice and wide. Almost got track limits, but I barely was able to pitch it in right before I would have invalidated my lap. So coming across, not the best lap, but it's something that's posted. You know, actually, this is my second
Time
lap.
2:22.02.
I'm just realizing this right now. I had done a lap before this, but I left it out of the recording. So this should be my last and final lap for qualifying, and it will be the best lap. Not too much different from what my best is, but nonetheless, it gets us in the ballpark. So we're low 221s at the moment, if I'm looking at this correctly. Had a better turn 1, so we executed on that a little bit better, and we were a little bit better in Eau Rouge. And, you know, the same principles apply. Going into the corner, hit that pretty darn good, kept it nice and tidy, didn't get on track limits, and you can see I'm gaining a little bit on my delta there, about a 1/10 and a half, going up to 2 tenths almost. Going here, let it go a little bit deeper, hit that double apex nice. So that's solid there, gaining more on our delta again. But we didn't really execute very well on that previous corner. So we lost a little bit of the time that we had made up. Going into this wide sweeping corner here, again, not executed very well, losing a lot of the time that I had made up. But nonetheless, our delta is still maintaining positive. So pitching it in, trying to keep this one nice and tight so we can get on the throttle a little bit earlier, which works well for us. Getting slightly positive. Didn't go down to first gear this time in this corner, so that's good. Wasn't flat out on that, but we had a little bit better coming out of that exit. But unfortunately, our delta is dropping, but going into the last little chicane, the last turn, I made up for it. As you can see here, breaking down, pitching it in, getting a better exit, maybe a little bit too much on that sausage curve, but it's just going to be a relatively small difference, roughly a 10.
That time was a 2:21.21.
At the time, P10, but I'm pretty sure by the time we start the race,
It's going to be interesting, turn one.
Position is slightly different. Yeah, as you can see, we have come down
Green flag.
to P11.
Yo!
So start of the race, lights go, and someone decides, I'm going to nail you in the side. Just ran you off the track, so that's a great start. This could be classic Le Mans Ultimate. People ramming into each other. Unfortunately, the lobbies are hit or miss. And then, as you can see, I had very poor reaction times into turn one. One of the LMPs spun out, and I ended up rear-ending somebody else, the Mustang. So I sincerely apologize for that. It was not my intention. But nonetheless, we're moving on. So now we have light front and rear bumper damage. This is going to affect our straight line speed and just their front end grip in general. It's not going to be anything drastic. It's not like it's going to obliterate your lap times. You can still make do with it. But you do notice slight differences. So go in here. Going to put a little pressure on the BMW. I was at that point debating on going on the inside, but it didn't really work out. It was quite foolish of me. I think I would have been better backing off, going out wider and getting a better exit. Otherwise, I just kind of lost some time. But as you can see, now we're getting into some traffic with the LMP2s, and things are going to get a little bit tricky, but sometimes I can create opportunities, with the multi-class races, these LMP2s, they can tend to shake things up. If they run into another GT3 car, cause an accident, you just gotta make sure you're aware of your surroundings and not run into anybody. So we're staying pretty close to this McLaren and the BMW, keeping it nice and tight, and I think we're gonna have a pretty good chance of getting up to the P8. And you never know, if we keep a solid pace and maybe adapt well down the road, we could see a P7, P6, and that's at least my thought process going into this. They pull away from me a little bit going into this corner, so I need to make up a little bit of time. But hopefully, them battling is going to present a challenge for them. It'll slow them down. So, not out of the race, obviously, but it's very early. Get a pretty decent corner through there. You could say a little bit better speed coming out of the last
was a 2:38.52.
but heading into turn one here again, they're side by side, going to slow them down, but that's good. I'm just going to stay right behind them, make sure I have a good exit through Eau Rouge, so that way I can stay in the draft. And this will help maintain the gap, and as you can see, the BMW moves through and the McLaren backs out, so I'm going to take this opportunity to get over here on the left side, on the outside, and try to overtake everyone section side by side. So this is going to get competitive, and I got to make sure I leave him some space. So breaking down here, he's going quite aggressive pitching it in. I just wasn't aware that he was doing that aggressive move. But fortunately for us, he spins out. So now we move up into P9. Now, our next benchmarker here is the BMW, so we're going to be chasing him down for quite some time. And
5-8.
we're going to move ahead here because not much happens on that lap once the McLaren spins out. But going back into Eau Rouge, we got an LMP2 joining the track again. More than likely had damage and had to come in. His race is probably ruined, which is very unfortunate and a frustrating thing to occur. You can see I get track limits there, but I'm not going to slow down. At this point, I've got a lot of margin of error, so a quarter of a point is nothing. So now I just got to focus on driving well, hitting these corners good, maintaining good speeds. As you can see, my delta's going up quite a bit. Not like I had the best lap time posted to begin with, but nonetheless, we're making improvements. You can see the BMW is making quite a few mistakes, and it's really costing him. I'm able to catch up. So remaining consistent and coming up behind him, maybe getting a little bit of the draft. And coming into this wide sweeping corner, you're going to see he's going to go quite wide, and it's really going to ruin his run. So I seize this as an opportunity for me. And so you're going to see I'm going to try to take the inside, put the pressure on him. He's leaving space, which is good. And I'm going to try to go for the switchback. And got greedy. I got extremely greedy. So that was my race. Pretty much ended. And, you know, I'm thinking, well, I'd just get back to the pits and get some safety rating, and my engine gets absolutely obliterated. So that race was over. And that was actually a silver race, and they were doing a daily race for the bronze beginner section for Spa. So to keep it consistent, you know, I just went and hopped into that lobby after. And as you're going to see, this is quite a disastrous race, and this is going to be a very short clip. I apologize, by the way. I'm not sure why this recording turned out extremely laggy and botchy, but please bear with me. You know, I'm learning this whole process of recording and editing videos, and this is my first attempt, but you know, I'm not expecting to be perfect at the same time, so it's just getting something out there and learning as I go. But nonetheless, we move in. We're on the back straight. And as you can see, this Mercedes is going to make an aggressive move on the inside. You know, leaving him some space. And then we have a bit of contact there. And that just absolutely ruins the race. Well, I shouldn't say it absolutely ruins. But I'd rejoin, staying on the outside. And I think I'm excuse me, I can't speak. I'm feeling optimistic, and then, of course, we have a major issue. You can see my frustration. Somebody had been wiped out and just absolutely obliterated a bunch of us. So that was the end of my race, and I was frustrated at that point, so I just retired. But this is my last and final attempt.
Are you kidding me?
And this was a race that I actually finished. So at the start there, you can obviously see that the Lexus wanted to bully me from the inside, which I thought was quite a dirty move. But,
Unreal.
you know, it is what it is. I mean, other people, you got to expect a little bit of aggression. So we move on. The race hasn't been completely destroyed. So we dropped back into P11. And I believe this race we had started in a P9 position, if I remember correctly. But I apologize if I misspoke. I was just trying to reminisce on what happened in that night race at Spa and how the race just got absolutely destroyed. But going in here side by side with the Mercedes, it's getting quite competitive. We're leaving each other space, which is quite nice. I'm forced to go wide, though, so that makes it a bit of a challenge, and he's going to get ahead of me. And I apologize, it's not a Mercedes Mustang. We actually maintain side by side, but as you can see, he does not leave any room there, and I spin out. You can see I am quite displeased, but luckily we did not have any severe suspension damage or any bumper damage, aerodynamic damage, which was quite ideal. So I was quite frustrated after that, but I was quite determined to finish this race regardless of the outcome. So sticking through it, gonna see this through to the end and see what we can do. All right, moving ahead, because it took some time to catch up to somebody, but we're catching up to Mustang here, and we're getting some pretty decent pace. It's going to be a little bit of a while before we catch up to him, but he's going to make a mistake eventually, and that's how we're going to pass him, and this will come up in the future. And I'm sure you guys have noticed that in the previous clips in this video, I was using the hood camera. But, so a little bit of a backstory. And here we go. So the Mustang spins out there, and then I continue on with my race. And it's going to be a little while before I catch somebody else, but we're going to move forward and move on from that moment eventually. But anyways, just to backtrack. So I uploaded a video on YouTube before this, and I had an ultra-wide, or I do currently have an ultra-wide 49-inch screen that I ordered when I bought my rig. And what happened was when I was recording through OBS and I uploaded the video on YouTube, it had the aspect ratio of 32:9, I believe, so it didn't fill out the whole entire screen. And I kind of got used to that ultra-wide view, so I eventually had to go and find a TV. I thought that would be better because I kind of preferred the view of having a larger screen in front of my face versus this super wide but not very tall, not very tall screen. So what basically moral of the story is, once I got this new TV, the view was quite odd, and I had to adjust the field of view, and I felt like I just couldn't see people to my right and left very well compared to when I had the ultra wide. So I adjusted my field of view settings, and now I'm going to the cockpit view, and I feel a little bit more confident with my visibility. So that's just a little side story, backstory of why my views changed and why things look a little different from clip to clip. But this will be the view that I go with in the future. So backtracking, we moved up a couple positions. One of the McLarens had to pit, had damage, and then there was a Ferrari that spun out at Eau Rouge. So that was quite a positive for us. And now we're coming up to another benchmarker, another Ferrari 296. But we have a LMP2s that are catching up now, so we got to be wary of them. And some of these LMP drivers, they can be quite reckless in their attempts to get by, just their desperation to maintain their position. So as you can see, I'm getting on this Ferrari quite quickly. He doesn't have very good pace, not very consistent. So I'm going to have the draft on this straight away towards the end of the race, or not the end of the race, I should say end of the lap. And we're going to keep some good pace, get a good exit, and I just want to make sure he doesn't get too far away so I can keep the draft. And going into the last corner here, I think I get quite a lot better exit than he does. Yeah, he just cuts into that first part of the chicane a little too late, and he loses some speed. So I'm able to get a little bit closer, so I'm going to have a stronger draft coming into Eau Rouge and the final, or not the final straight, but the back straight there. As you can see, LMP2s are coming up. I got a little nervous there. He was making a very aggressive move on the inside of me, which I was not expecting because he was coming from pretty far back. So I backed out and kept it wide, as I did not want to ruin my race. But as you can see, the Ferrari gets a really bad exit out of Eau Rouge, so I'm going to take advantage of this. I got a lot more speed, plus I'm in the draft. I'm catching up to him. So I'm going to make a move here. I'm going to take the inside, put a little pressure on him. Don't quite get side by side, but it freaks him out. And then, as you can see, I take the position. So this is great. Can't complain. We have moved up from last place to P14. We're making really good progress so far. I mean, these aren't the most competitive races that I've ever had in the past. But, you know, that's just racing. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes luck will be in your favor. Sometimes you're just going to make bad judgment calls in the heat of the moment. It just is what it is. So something happened with this Lexus here, obviously. So he's got severe damage. So that was an easy position to take. So now we're up to P13. Now we got a bunch of LMP2s coming up behind us. So it's like a beehive trying to swarm you when you look in your rearview mirrors. That's how I like to describe it when you're racing these multi-class events in GT3s. Let them pass. Luckily, it wasn't in a risky spot, but I get a little nervous here. So this car takes the inside, so I think, okay, there we go. But then I didn't realize there's another guy behind him, and he makes an aggressive move again on the inside of me. Maybe I should have held the outside line, but I genuinely did not know he was there. So, you know, could have been partially my responsibility, but also ultimately the LMP2's responsibility is to pass other drivers safely. It is their job and it is our job to hold our line, hold a predictable line, and not do anything reckless. So, a lot of LMP2s in the mix here right now, but I think we're in the clear once this guy passes us. But we're going to find that some of these guys spin out and, you know, can cause a little bit of chaos, I believe. Maybe not. I think they just spin out, but go off track eventually down the road here. So we're in a good position now. We're in P12, which is quite good for us. I believe there was a driver that had retired or DNFs because we were in P13 originally, but there was no one that we passed. So good for us. Good for us. Just remaining consistent is sometimes all you can do, just not crashing. You can post a million fast laps, but if you're wrecking all the time, it doesn't really matter. Your overall average time is going to be a lot higher. So as you can see, the LMP2 spun out there, and nothing happens for quite some time. So we're going to jump ahead here. We're going down to roughly 5 laps left. So get into a little bit of action. I believe we gain a position because another person DNFs coming up here once I get into turn 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's a nice benefit for us. So coming down the back straight. And I believe this is the moment where somebody DNFs. Oh, we got another yellow flag, LMP2, I believe. LMP3, LMP2. Yeah, it looks like an LMP2. And he gets back on the track. Luckily, we don't have to fight him or worry about him. But we're coming up on the Porsche. That's right. Now I remember. So we're coming up on the Porsche. And eventually we are going to get by him. He's got bad pace. I'm not sure if he damaged his vehicle at one point or another, but we have much better pace than he does, and we're going to eventually catch him. Got an LMP2, so I'm going to take the outside, let him through, and he's going to apply a lot of pressure to the Porsche here, which is going to give me the opportunity to go on the outside, and I take P11, and we're in the clear, but the Porsche's not gone yet. He's quite upset, but then we got to watch out for this LMP2 rejoining the track. Don't get too close or too wide, so I just got to sacrifice a little bit of speed on the straightaway, which the Porsche is going to be able to capitalize, and he's in my draft. So I got to be wary for him. But, you know, I can't get too worried about the driver behind me. I've got to focus on what's ahead of me and focus on racing my race, driving my lines well. I think it's really easy, especially in these high-pressure situations, and especially when you're in a pole position or in the lead. It's really easy to drive in your mirrors. And anytime I find myself driving in my mirrors, it always ends disastrous. I start dropping my focus, my lap times are going down, I make mistakes. Then this was a close call. This LMP2 spun out, and I had to back out of my corner and just go extremely wide. Again, not to ruin my race, and the Porsche is still behind us. He is not far at all. So what we're going to do is just keep racing. And I believe I had misspoke earlier. I had thought that someone DNF'd the last lap, but I think it was around this lap. As you'll see, yep, that's where they DNF, and then we go up to P10. So not ideal. That is essentially what we qualified at. We were in P10, but it was unfortunate events that were somewhat out of our control, not intentional. But to go from last place up to P10 over this time span, I can't complain. But, you know, with only roughly 3.5 laps left in this race, it's going to be tough to get up to a P9 position, but I was getting really hopeful. So moving ahead here, it's the last 2 laps. The guy in P9 in the Aston Martin, you can tell just looking at the delta from him, he is making mistakes and it's going down. The gap is going down a little bit as time goes on. But I was growing a little bit hopeful, and unfortunately in the end, it did not work out, but there was a glimpse of hope that I could possibly get P9, which would have been quite astounding. As you can see, though, the Porsche is slowly getting further and further behind us. We're maintaining a pretty consistent pace, and he's just dropping behind, and then he's going to be battling with that Ferrari in the number 12 position. So that's going to make it easy for us, give us a little bit of breathing room. So all we got to do is just focus what's ahead, race our race, and not do anything too risky at this point. As you can see, the Aston Martin's delta dropped by a whole entire second almost. So I was internally, I mean, you can't see it on my face because I'm quite focused in the moment, but I was getting really, really hopeful. Really, really hopeful something was going to happen. Something was going to manifest, and it keeps going down. Like, we're at 6 seconds now, and now we're below. Yeah, we're at 5.5. You never know. This guy makes enough mistakes, and then come to the last lap, you're right there. But unfortunately, we run into an LMP2 who spun out, and it is a extremely unideal time to be side by side with one. Going into this last straightaway before the last corner, and I lost quite a bit of time, almost 3/4 of a second, eventually a whole second if you factor in the lost straight line speed that I got. But I mean, it is what it is. Going into the last lap eventually here, but we cannot forget this last moment of this LMP2 spinning out in the final corner, and again, slowing me down. I had to avoid and go wide, really slowed down my race, but nothing happens. It's quite eventful on this last lap, so we just move ahead, and we ended up finishing in P10. We had quite a few rough races beforehand, but eventually we got to one where we finished strong. Wasn't ideal, but given the circumstances, I would say I am happy with the outcome. And I'm sure a little bit of my performance was probably some camera fright, just being my first time recording myself. But hey, if you are tuning in, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this. And again, if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. Take care.